Let's go through the new pricing options added to version 9. A cabinet pricing tab has been added to the product editor, allowing you to edit the price or pricing options per cabinet. The cost, markup, and add-on fields have been added all throughout Mosaic, allowing you to enter the cost you pay for an item, add a markup percentage, or a fixed markup dollar value to the costs. Molding pricing has also been included. You can create different columns to give each shape of molding a different price based on species of wood. Appliance pricing has been added. In the insert library, a graphic only option has been included. You can define an item as graphic only or decorative, so it will no longer appear in pricing reports. In the pricing tab, we have added the ability to create pricing runs, and once these runs are generated, they are preserved. If you make changes to your job, you can refresh these runs as needed. You have the ability to create your own pricing templates. In these templates, you can choose which pricing items you want to include. There have been many more pricing variables added. You can even bring the same variable in twice. There have been more taxing options added. You can choose which pricing items will have a tax applied to them, and you can even add your own descriptions for any of the pricing items. Advanced pricing is now pricing settings. In pricing settings, you can choose what parts will be included in your finished area calculations. For example, you may consider the front of a door finished area, or you may consider the front and back surfaces finished area. You can also use the optimizer to calculate material usage. Custom reports and contracts can also be added with the new report editor. This word processor type interface will allow you to customize reports in any way you want, as well as add itemized. A what if pricing option has also been added. That way you and a customer can go over what changing different settings, hardware items, material choices will do to the final price. If your customer chooses to accept, you can update all of the settings tabs in each room to these new choices. A new change order option has also been added. This way, after a pricing run has been generated, any changes to the job will be included in a change order separated from the rest of your run. You can choose to export your pricing templates to CSV. This way you can open them with other softwares such as Excel or QuickBooks. A new pricing tab has been added to the product editor, allowing you to fine-tune the pricing per product. You can enter a fixed cost for this product, a price per linear foot, a price per square foot, as well as an upcharge percentage. The Options tab has moved into the Pricing tab. All of your existing options will retain their functionality and still will be located in here. You now have no limit to the amount of options that you can add to a product. You can also include whether a cabinet will be included in your cabinet count, linear foot calculations, or square foot calculations. This is going to be very important for items such as base back panels, where you probably don't want these items to be included in your cabinet count, linear, or square footage calculations. You may notice the new cost, markup, and add-on fields. These should be available in almost every menu throughout Mosaic. What you want to do is enter the cost that you pay for an item in the cost field. Then you can choose to add a percentage for a markup, or alternatively, a fixed markup value. The fixed markup value will be helpful for examples where this hinge cost me $4.50, but I would really like to charge the customer $7 for it. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a fixed markup of $2.50. In version 9, we have added the ability to apply pricing to different molding shapes. To do this, go into your shape library and click on the pricing button. You will notice a spreadsheet here with all of your different molding shapes, as well as a field to enter a price. But perhaps you need to add a different price for different materials. So what you can do is go ahead and add a column. We'll add one here for white oak, and enter all of your different prices for that option. When we go to the Molding tab and automatically generate our molding, we will be able to choose which pricing column we want to use. You can also select on any molding in the floor plan and override the molding material for that path. A new pricing option has been added to the appliance product type. You can go into any appliance and apply a price to that particular item. In version 9, a new graphic-only checkbox has been added to the insert library. This way you can differentiate between inserts that you may want to price and inserts that are really just for graphic display purposes only. In this case, the books may be helpful to show my customer that maybe that's what they want to store in that area, but I really don't want to see them in any pricing lists. Alternatively, in the Closet Hardware and Accessories library, whenever I put in a belt pullout, I may actually need to charge the customer for that, so I will want it to appear in my pricing list, as well as I can enter a cost, markup, or add-on dollar amount. One of the main features of the version 9 update is an overhaul of the pricing tab. So if we go into the pricing tab in this particular job, we're going to notice things are certainly looking a little different. The first step that you're going to want to do is go into the template editor and create a pricing template that's going to work for your company. So I'm going to go here and add a new one. I'm just simply going to call it quote. Now let's go ahead and close this and choose which items we want to drag into our new pricing template. You can have as many different pricing templates as you want. So I'm going to just widen this out here so we can read all of the different pricing items. So our first one that we might want to add in is a price per cabinet. Now there's all different ways of pricing things, but the cabinet field is going to be derived from the costs that you added into the pricing tab in the product editor of each item. So all of those new features that were added in the pricing tab are going to be used to create the cabinet price. In our example, we're going to keep it though very simple. We're simply going to price per foot of cabinets. So I'm going to go and drag in our base wall and tall cabinets per foot. And I'm going to want to enter a value in here. So I'm just going to enter probably some simple values, and maybe that's good. The next thing that we might want to price is our materials, maybe our hinges, our guides, our pulls, and maybe that's good. All of these items you cannot add a price simply because it's coming from the price that we've added in our hardware library. So you do not price things in gray in this particular menu. You'll want to go elsewhere in Mosaic and enter your prices. Now, let's say that this is all I need for this particular template. Now, I may want to go ahead and add a subtotal and tax. And tax is interesting because sometimes some items might need to be taxed and sometimes items might not. Depending on which country or tax jurisdiction you're in, you'll have different requirements. One example might be installation. Some places installation is not taxed and others it is. So let's say our installer is going to charge us a percentage of the subtotal of our job. So I could go ahead and drag in that particular value. That's in our new add-on section where I could add just simple add-ons. They could be fixed per square foot, per quantity of cabinets, or per percentage of our total or subtotal. In this case, we're going to do a percentage of our subtotal. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the description field here. Just make that a little smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and type in installation. So you can add whatever descriptions you're going to need in here. After that, we may want to uncheck tax because we do not want to tax this particular item. Then I'm going to drag in my total, possibly maybe a 15% deposit. And perhaps actually I forgot to add this 10% for our installer. And then finally our balance due. Now, once you get all of the items selected for your template, you may want to choose what's going to be available or visible on screen. So in this case, we are going to want to turn taxable off. Maybe we don't need to see that, and we don't need to see our markup. There's also another checkbox here, show my cost. When this is checked, all of the markups and add-ons that you add all throughout Mosaic, all of the different menus will be turned off. That's going to be very helpful if you're trying to figure out your particular cost, how much a particular project is actually costing your company. Now once we're done, we're going to click Save. So now that we have our pricing template created, we're going to want to go ahead and run that pricing template and create a pricing run. So at the top left corner, we're going to want to select our template from the drop-down list. We're going to select our new quote template, and we could also apply a run name. So perhaps this is our first meeting with our customer, so I'm going to add initial. It's automatically going to apply all of the pricing items that we've selected to this particular job. Now, one really nice feature is the ability to edit any of these items. For example, perhaps I need 55 sheets of 3/4 plywood, but I want to order or charge anyway for 65 just in case. So I could go ahead and change any of these quantities as needed, and everything is instantly going to update. Now, once you get a template run generated, you may want to print this into a report. A report could be something like a contract, an itemized list, whatever you really want to present to your customer. So the first step, we might want to go in and open up our report editor. Now this is kind of a word processor type interface where we could go and just, type in whatever we want. So we could also go and bring in pricing variables. So I could bring in, today's date, for example. So I want to go and, quote and today's date. You could go and change your font, change your page layout, your margins, add different columns, add page line numbering. You could change your page color. You could also insert tables, which could be helpful. Images, your logo, and so on. One of the most powerful features, though, is importing your pricing data. So perhaps I want to give them an itemized list. So I could go and bring in my material table, perhaps my hinges that I'm using, and all of the different items that are in this particular job. Now I'm creating a template, so I'm not actually going to have to do this every time. So if I save this template, I'm just going to call it example. I can select this particular template, and it's automatically going to populate. Now this is a pretty simple one, but we are going to provide you with a generic contract report which you can adjust. And let's just have a look at that one. So let's go into the template editor, or report editor, and let's go ahead and open the one called contract. Now in here you could go and delete our logo, enter your address, and you'll notice it's automatically populated with all of the different fields. So, and it has some legal disclaimers and some customer sign-offs as well. So we could go ahead and close this, and let's give this one a try. So you'll notice it's automatically populating this particular contract with the customer name, the job name, phone number, etc., all added in our jobs tab. It's going to put, the linear feet of cabinets that we have, the cost of each one, as well as your subtotal, tax, deposit, and the balance due. So you can go and basically create any report that. If you remember the advanced pricing settings in our previous versions, those have moved into the settings. The settings menu in the pricing tab is going to be where you could define a custom currency symbol for some of our international customers. you define what is going to be included in a finished area. So perhaps you spray the front and backs of your doors, so you'd want to include the door back, perhaps not. And this is also a very powerful feature. You can actually choose to use the optimizer to calculate all of your materials. So it's actually going to nest all of your different cabinets. This becomes very important if you have many deep cabinets, let's say 26-inch deep cabinets, and your material is only 48 inches wide. Well, your yield may not be that great, and you want to make sure that you're charging for the proper amount of sheets. So you may want to choose the optimizer. That is assuming that you subscribe to the optimizer. Another really powerful feature of version 9 is the new what if feature. So that's going to be used if you have, say, your customer sitting next to you and they say, what if I switched my drawer guides from this to this? Would I save any money? And what have you. So what you can do is go and see all of your current settings and different options. So let's go and say, I want to switch my drawer guides from a Blum Evento to, let's say, an Accuride side mount. If I do that, my price is $30,043. If I do that, I'm going to save a couple $100. If they're happy, click accept, and it's automatically going to update your settings tab. Now, after we get a pricing run generated, changes still may occur. So we can create a change order. So let's go to the products tab and let's add some more cabinets to a new room here. So room 7. So if we add, a couple cabinets here, or perhaps I'll just autofill some cabinets in. And these cabinets were all added extra. So I'm going to go back to the pricing tab and I could go to change order, and it's going to generate a pricing run just based off of the changes. Another option added to the pricing tab is the ability to export your pricing templates to a CSV file. With a CSV file, you'll be able to open them into other softwares such as Excel,